But what if it's a grizzly bear?
Grizzly schmizzly.
If it's
Okay,
grizzly,
James.
order from Drizzly.
It was the most intense experience of my life. Like, and I've been in some like interesting situations. So.
Nick just was lucky he was in the river because he could just drop the waders down and just give it a quick rinse.
Well, yeah, it would have like swept me away. Like I'd be not here, you know. Like
Yeah.
oh, I drowned too.
You just saying the
just
whole
wa-
time, not a salmon, not a salmon.
I just
Yeah,
wish I
I
honestly
don't even
wish,
like salmon.
I just wish I would have
Said
heard
it
your
4
growl.
times.
Your couple
Oh.
growls. Arr.
Well, so the best part. So I get to the shore. I found a spot. I cross. I drop the waders. I get my shoes. I don't see the bear, but there were some other people that weren't in my party. I could see fishing like 75 yards down. I'm like, I should give them a heads up. So I run down there. My
There's a
tennis
bear
shoes.
down there.
Yeah, I was like, hey guys, there's a bear, and they're like, we know it came our way. So when I went back to the shore, it
We sent it
came
your
that
way.
And I was like, it was kind of a big one, is what they said. I was like, yeah, you know, like I'm like scared still, you know.
They're
So-
doing the same thing. They're dipping their waders in the water when you watch when you go
think-
past them.
I think I
they
got all
were
the poop out,
locals.
guys. I think I
Rinsing
got all
their
the poop out.
shorts.
Yeah,
pretty
they were
much.
locals. They're like, this fucking guy, he's never seen a bear before.
Yeah, they're like, no big deal. That's Clarence. We talk to him
What
all
if
the time.
Yeah.
What if the
yeah.
bear looked you in the eyes and knew you were a Bears fan? It's like, all right, I'll leave this guy alone.
He's like, this guy named his dog Field. So
He
he's-
just daps you up and keeps going.
Or he just looked at you and he's like, this guy's seen pain. He knows what it's like to be a.
Oh, yes, that is the truest statement of the pod.
And he pulls up a rocking chair and he's like, "Remember 1985?"
But then you'd see me as a
Show the
Falcons.
rookie card. I picked Justin Fields. Leave me alone.
You'd see me as a Falcons fan. He goes, "There's too much pain. I'll just end his life."
Can we have the entire pod about how you believe in Desmond Ritter and I don't understand why?
Because I have to by law.
Taylor Heineke season. Woo!
I think it was you or someone else. It might be Nick Penikoff, I think.
Yep.
One of-
Nick is a
you-
big Ritter guy too.
So he like retweeted something where it was like someone had Ritter's like 40 time. I was like, he's that athletic. I looked it up. I'm like, I did not know he's that
Yeah,
athletic.
he was,
Like,
Yeah.
he was the fastest in the 40 last year.
yeah, he doesn't look that athletic. Like even like jumps
What does
and
that
everything.
mean?
I was
He
like,
does not look like an athlete.
I, think
I
he
will
ran
actually
a
say that.
4.5 if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
it was 4.52 and then I don't know, like 36 vertical or something. I was like,
He's
Yeah.
more athletic than he shows. That's for sure.
He is. I'll put it this way: he's a poor man's Ryan Tannehill when Tannehill was good.
Nothing.
No, when Tannehill was good. You're a Ritter guy too, James. So what?
I
are you
am, and I
talking
think
about?
he's much better than Ryan Tannehill.
ooh.
Okay, let's table this maybe for post pod because I'm.
we are
I'm
we
gonna
are
get into it.
live.
Yes,
but
I know
we got,
are.
we got
but
some we got some good bear talk live. So that's what
That's
we
true.
are.
for
that's,
Grizzle
our, that's our other podcast.
bear talk.
What to do when you see a bear?
It was a 30-second pod. It was awesome. All right, we'll give a 3-second pause and then I will jump into it. Welcome to the Dynasty Happy Hour. We are here live on YouTube, so if you check it out there or maybe on Facebook Watch, I think that's what it's called. Who knows with Meta these days? They change things all the time. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. That would be much appreciated. You can come and tune in every Sunday night at 9 Eastern, maybe a little before, maybe a little bit later, and see 3 beautiful faces. But this week, we get a bonus face. We have Nick Whalen joining James, Tyler, and I this week. Nick, how the hell are you, bud?
Awesome, man. I live in Wisconsin. I mowed for the first time. It's May. It was finally no snow and I was able to do it. So I was excited.
Yeah, my wife told me I have to wait for like the queen bee or something like that. I don't know the rules.
That's a thing around here too. I don't get it. Like it was like long
Yeah.
enough and I'm like, I can do it. It's not bad weather. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, it's something with the bees to help.
It
Yeah.
helps the pollination of the grass and flowers,
I
etc.
just cut it when it needs to be
The
cut.
issue
But, I
is
mean,
we have a massive bee hole in our backyard, and like you have
Did you
to.
hear that, guys? Tyler said he had a massive bee hole.
Last year we had to mow around
How
the bee
big was
hole.
the bee hole?
It was a big bee
You had to
hole.
mow
Like,
around the bee hole?
we had to wash
Should I drop the
this bee hole
Manscaped
out.
ad now?
We had to wash the bee hole out. Like we had to really just pretty much power wash the bee hole.
Is this a not safe for work pod now? Do we have to
This-
like just
So
different categories?
left-
You put
we
the
left-
bee hole on a bidet.
we left. It was kind of like it, and we left the water on by accident, and there was bee hole water
flooded
all
bee hole?
over, a big time flooded bee hole.
Yeah. Wow.
And
Go
like
out
my
to your
wife,
local
my wife
CVS,
had to
just get
take
a
care of.
hand bucket, you'll be good.
It's like, see, I got stung by the bee hole, so my wife actually had to take care of the bee hole.
Wow, we've gone off the rails in under 4 minutes here, which is amazing. That might be a new record. I'm here for it, though. So this week we have Nick joining us. We are going to do a team need mock draft episode, which Tyler's going to be leading the way. So prepare yourselves now. Go grab a snack.
God help us all.
God help us all.
3-hour podcast while I explain everything.
Right. And we have some news. There has been some activity this week as well. But before we get into news, before we get into mocks, before we get into all that stuff, we've had enough B-hole talk for the last minute. We'll probably have some more knowing us. But I did want to talk about Underdog. They just dropped Best Ball Mania 4. It's the biggest underdog contest ever. $3 million to first place, which is absolutely awesome. If you don't want to do I think it's $25 for Best Ball Mania, you can do the puppy tournament, which is $5, and you can enter $500,000 in prizes. And when you do that, go on Google Play, go on the Apple iTunes Store, and download Underdog. You can use code DHH, and they will deposit up to $100 matched right away. So 25, so on and so forth. If you're not big into fantasy football, I mean, why are you listening? We appreciate you. But if you need a fix and you're waiting for fantasy football to come back, well, guess what? You can play other sports as well. Baseball is in full swing. NBA playoffs are going on. You got golf. You got hockey playoffs. I think they have NASCAR. Did you see the fight from today where a guy got punched in the face? NASCAR doing NASCAR things. It's just an awesome time on Underdog. You
Road
can play.
rage.
Oh, yeah. You
Ricky
can play in
Bobby.
all different ways on Underdog. So check it out. Once again, that is code DHH to have your deposit up to $100 matched right away. Let's get into some player news. There's nothing major here this week, so I just want to I'm just going to give you the news, and then I want you guys to just kind of throw in any nuggets that you might have, any thoughts as we go through them. So I'm just going to give you all these nugs. I'm going to give you a 20-piece nugget. You ever eaten a 20-piece nugget before by yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Not Whalen. Whalen doesn't eat that. He maybe a 20-piece salad.
20. I ate 2 croutons
So many
once.
different lettuce varieties.
Yes. A spring mix.
Arugula, very healthy. Let's go into the news. So the Buffalo Bills made a move at running back. Everyone's favorite, Latavius Murray, to a 1-year contract. It's a 1-year, $1.3 million contract, veteran minimum, more or less. In wide receiver news, well, actually, I'll stick with running back. So the Chiefs also re-signed Jerick McKinnon, which we all kind of knew was going to happen after the period went by where you don't have to have compensatory picks. We've seen some signings this week. It's another 1 year, $1.3175 million, the same exact as Latavius Murray's. McKinnon obviously was pretty dang good last year and helped people win in the playoffs, which we'll see if that happens again this year. The Chiefs did decline Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's 5th-year option because they're a smart franchise. They probably shouldn't have drafted him in the first place, but that's a whole nother conversation. In other running back news, Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll, the habitual gum chewer, chews like a cow, drives me crazy, said that Ken Walker and Zach Charbonnet will battle for the team's lead rollback this summer.
Talk about a b-hole.
Yeah, Pete, big b-hole energy out of him. The Broncos exercised wide receiver Jerry Jeudy's 5th-year option, so he will be back on the team with his 5th year, which I think is a pretty good chunk of change for the wide receiver as well. And then NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reports. He reports.
That Massachusetts accent, isn't that?
Reports. He reports it. The Packers signed QB Jordan Love to a contract worth up to $22.5 million, $13.5 guaranteed. He will be the quarterback there through the 2024 season. And then some really deep cuts. The 49ers signed quarterback Brandon Allen, formerly Joe Burrow's
We
backup
don't need
in
to talk
Cincinnati.
about this, you guys.
This is super flex. The Rams signed
so
quarterback
ugly.
Brett
No.
Rippon.
Pass.
The Eagles signed tight end Dan Arnold.
James, you're not allowed for the
And
player
the
news
Colts
anymore.
released Nick Foles.
It's
Yes,
so ridiculous.
I knew. Now let's bring Nick into this. Nick, I knew eventually. So I've been doing the show sheet for about a year and a half now. I knew one day I would put enough bad information in the news that Tyler would say, "I will do it from now on." So there you go,
He
Tyler.
won't do it.
It is all yours.
He's just copy and pasting Roto World. All right, whatever. Kicker, okay, throw it in.
Can I
Nick,
jump in?
I do want
Absolutely.
because you did tweet about Jordan Love's contract because there's a lot of people saying it was a bad contract. I want you to tell because I agree with you fully. So why don't you go on with Jordan Love's contract?
And I know people, you can see I'm a Bears fan. I do live in Wisconsin for most of my life. They'll say I'm a hater or whatever. that might be the worst contract I've seen a player sign recently. This is how bad it is because, they say the up to everything. Have you guys seen the incentives or no?
From your tweet, yes. I
Okay.
I do know that it's up to 22 million or something like that.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So for people that don't know, basically Jordan Love has to be a top 16 quarterback in a bunch of different passing statistical categories to hit some thresholds, a top 10 quarterback to hit more of the incentives, lead the Packers to the playoffs, win the conference championship game, win the Super Bowl, or make the Pro Bowl, hit any of the incentives outside of 500,000 if he plays 65% of the snaps. So Jordan Love next year, if he only hits 65% of the snaps and he's the 17th or worst best quarterback and they don't make the playoffs, will make $8.06 million.
That's nothing.
And for example, Falcons here, we can hit up you guys. Taylor Heineke signed for 2 years, $14 million to be basically a backup with Atlanta. Jacoby Brissett to battle it out with Howell, 1 year, $8 million. That's backup money, basically. Terrible.
It's a bet on himself, as they say.
Yeah, he certainly did. And that's the thing is people are like, oh, well, it's conservative. It's like players only have so many years to get money.
So let's ask this question then, Nick. You really think it's more of a fluff piece for Jordan Love, trying to make him feel good in the media more so than actually getting what he deserved?
Yeah. I mean, I think he deserved more than I know. Green Bay doesn't believe in him. That's what it is. Like if they did, he'd get 20 million guaranteed for 1 year. So to me, it's Green Bay doesn't believe in him. It's a smart deal for the Packers, or Jordan Love has less confidence than we thought. The only other option would be if Jordan Love's like, listen, this guy Rodgers has been so selfish with money. I'm going to take 1 cheap year and try and fix everything around the team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way. Now, I don't think athletes should do that because he could, get injured and whatever, but
Sure.
That could be it too.
I actually think that I like the deal for Jordan Love. He's kind of betting on himself. And for me, what's your second option? Clifford, who they just drafted, who is, if you've watched Big Ten football, he is very bad. He is so bad.
Undraftable.
And, yes. And the fact that
But
he's
drafted.
a 5th round pick. 5th round.
Yeah. It's terrible.
But yeah, that was a bad pick.
Maybe that was the confidence boost that Jordan Love needed. We're going to bring in another quarterback, but he's going to be so bad that you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, that's it. Because
sounds about right.
Yeah. I like Jordan Love. I do think that he has a lot to prove, and I think with this contract, he's kind of betting on himself a little bit. So that's where we're at with Jordan Love.
Any other thoughts from any of these news and notes here? Do we think that McKinnon coming back obviously muddies things a little bit, but Nick, I want to know what you think about Isaiah Pacheco going forward.
I didn't like his film coming out of college with Rutgers, but I think, McKinnon's old. Can we get to that part too, where people are just like,
oh yeah, he's post 30.
The only thing about DFS, he had like 1 good week and then caught a reception for a touchdown. So people just kept starting him or whatever. Like this is Pacheco's thing right now, and they got no one in there. I'm acquiring him anywhere I can redraft. I mean, this is a huge guy, and the reports came out he was injured. He had a torn labrum and wrist.
I saw that.
Buy him.
Yeah, and they love him there. Like you can tell, they absolutely love him in that locker room.
He was a big winner post draft.
Yeah.
I was worried. I have Pacheco on one roster. I got him super cheap in the auction last year and stashed him on my taxi. And I was like, what do I do with him? Do I sell him now or wait till the draft? I'm probably going to keep him. He's my RB4, really. So I'm like, I'm probably going to keep him now. But he is one of the player that I don't think enough people are talking about that escaped the draft in a really good spot.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that if you sell, you're selling too cheap, and nobody's going to buy for the price that he actually deserves. So he's one of those guys that should just stay on your team, and he'll be on your team for years until he's probably out in 3 or 4 years. So
yeah, the good news is you didn't spend a lot of draft capital to get him on your team or a lot of your auction budget. So it's like it's just a full
even
on
after
like
the season started,
rewards.
I was buying him for a second. I'm okay.
I remember
with
that
because the production will be all right.
Yeah.
I do remember that, James.
There's 3 running backs that I thought won a ton that are somewhat youngish, and Pacheco's one, Dobbins is the other, and Akers is the last one. Like I'm acquiring all of them. And if you think Rashad White is one of them, you're wrong. I'm going to buy Chase Edmonds or anyone else in that offense. He was the worst
Doug's a
worst
Sean Tucker guy.
expected yards per carry running back in the entire NFL last year. And they're not going to throw 750 times again. Brady's gone. So,
yep.
Nope.
I've got Sean Tucker late in a lot of rookie drafts. I know James has too. I'm a believer. The medicals, I know they're a little scary. I wish he would have got drafted, but you know what? I'm going to take a late shot on him because I think he could be a.
I think if it wasn't for the
medical,
if it wasn't for the medicals, he would have went in the 4th round.
Yeah, but I mean, with the whole DeMar Hamlin thing, people are worried about his heart, so like they don't want that to happen to their team. It was a big.
I did see him creeping up into the 3rd round of rookie drafts today, though.
I took him.
I was in one and he went at the 312.
A lot of people love the prospect, but like Nick's saying, I do agree. The heart is a major issue, and a lot of teams will be wary to put him on the field.
It's kind of like Justin Ross. That's what it is. Like it's a guy that our priors had him way higher,
Justin Ross,
and we're going to believe what we're going to believe. But I mean, honestly, we know we've done this for years. What you should do in your rookie drafts is follow the NFL draft because that leads to opportunity. Yep. Like don't outsmart it all. Like okay, 2nd round, yep, I'm going to take him because he went in the 2nd round over 5th round guy.
I was telling Doug that the other day too about my process and how I used to watch like 7 games for a player, and I'm going to be done with that because the NFL tells us exactly what we need to know. So maybe like 1 or 2, get kind of a general grasp of players I like, and then let the NFL tell me the other half of the script because these players that I'm like, oh, I really like this guy. Nope, 7th round pick. Like the chances of that hitting are slim
Pacheco
to none. So.
last year.
Yeah,
James Robinson 2 years ago.
For how many?
Yeah, there's always at least
I
one.
did like the film on Pacheco. I know.
There's always at least one guy that's either a round 6, 7 or a UDFA that comes out of nowhere and makes noise. Philip Lindsay, for instance, like there's
James
usually
Robinson.
Yeah, there's usually one guy. So for me, my guy's Sean Tucker. Late 3rd to me is nothing in these rookie drafts.
Yeah.
Like this class isn't very particularly good.
I mean, it's the cliffhanger right there at the end of the 3rd round, going into the beginning of the 4th rookie drafts right now. So take your guy there. Don't be afraid of that.
I'm one thing I think that people should do that all these guys would fall in that category is what you should do is get a ton of crap running backs that are young. Because you wait for injury, you wait for opportunity, and one will spring up. And then what you do is you deal them for more capital, better capital. Like that's 100%. What you should do. Like before the draft, what I do, I trade off any running back that wasn't like a complete stud because I don't know, Ken Walker got crushed. Like you don't want to like eliminate Tyler Algier. Like same thing. Like just don't do that to your running backs because you lose all value. Like just rinse and repeat all the time.
I hate running backs in Dynasty. They are literally the bane of my existence. I hate them so much, except Bijan, of course, because
the bane of your existence. All right, let's keep it moving. I think that's we don't need to hit on any other notables there. I think that's pretty good. Before we move on, though, I did want to give a shout out to our longest standing sponsor here on Dynasty Happy Hour, and that is Trophy Smack. We say it every week. If you haven't got your trophy already, come on, Kamish, get off your keister. Get it done. Get it to the league winner. It's already May. The season starts in September. Like, get it done. And when you do that, make sure you use code DHHRing because when you get that belt or that trophy, you'll get a free $60 championship ring that you can either keep for yourself, you can give it to them, maybe give it to the 2nd place guy, the high scorer. I don't care what you do. It's free when you use code DHHRing. So give it to your kid. Doesn't matter to me. Just make sure you do that. But they've got championship trophies and belts for every occasion, every sport. They've got stuff for the losers in your league, just a little bit of everything. So check out trophysmack.com today. And again, that's code DHHRing for the free $60 championship ring at checkout. So Tyler, I'm going to hand it off to you in confidence.
Oh God.
That you're going to guide us and lead us the way in this mock draft.
All right. So everybody,
do you have a draft order first of all?
We are going to give Nick the first pick, but there's going to be a twist. So
I like it.
And then we're going to go.
It's already a twist, and we haven't even had the first pick. Oh,
me
God.
2, and then Doug 3, James 4. Just because he mouthed off.
That's all right. I like the 104. Actually, I've had a lot of shares of the 104, and I'm on the clock at 104.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist things around because guess what? You guys have listened to a bunch of rookie mocks. Like you guys have seen the rookie mocks. Like, oh, here's the pick. Here's the pick. I wanted to twist it up a little bit because I want to give scenarios for each picks because that's what we are actually running into per each and every single team. So when 101's on the clock, I'll give the scenario, what your team looks like, and I'm also going to say, oh, you also have this pick in the first round, and I'm going to try to match them up for the same pick you also have. So
I call dibs on the Busta Rhymes verse in Scenario. If you're a hip hop head, you know what I'm talking about.
So that's what we're gonna do. And the first pick, Nick, is your team. Complete rebuild. You are the worst team. You earn the 101 easily, but you also have pick 109.
Is it Superflex?
Superflex tight end premium.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. I'm going to Bijan Robinson, and then I'll probably trade him later. But that's who I'm going with, and it's not even a debate for me because there's no Caleb Williams. These quarterbacks I think are all to me. I don't hate them, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, I have to have one of them. So I'm going Bijan, and then I will definitely shop him.
Okay. I've seen that option a lot on Twitter as well.
I've done it personally.
Yes, that is not a bad option to do because he is already RB1 in Dynasty. So
there's an argument that he is peak value right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I'm going to go 102. And the interesting thing here is I am good at quarterback, but
But you have red hair.
I am not great.
You're Andy Dalton.
I'm good at what. Well, so we'll say the scenario. I'm good at quarterback. I've got like Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, so I'm good. But my third quarterback's not great, and then my running backs are bad. My receivers are good. I'll go that scenario. So for me, I'm still gonna go Anthony Richardson, just because Watson gives me a little scare. Like there's a chance he does not come back to what he used to be. We saw some hope in the season, and that hope could turn into something good. But for me, the fact that I have two good quarterbacks gives me the opportunity to go with the upside play instead of the safety play, and that's why I'm going to go Anthony Richardson here at 102. So at 102, Anthony Richardson. Doug, 103.
I think Nick wants to chime in.
I just want to jump in because you're going through scenarios. I made a trade today. I had 102 that I think could be helpful. So I had two good quarterbacks like you did, and I personally don't have Anthony Richardson as my top quarterback, which I know is a little bit out there. So the guy had the 104 who was trying to move up for his choice of quarterback. So I was like, I don't care. I'll take whoever is left in Superflex. And I moved up from 112 to 108. And we know 112 we'll get into that later, is kind of a bad area, to 108, which I still could get a first round player. So like you can do things like that too, where, hey, I'm going to move into a good area of the draft and I'll take whatever quarterback is left.
Yeah. For me, Bryce Young is still my quarterback one.
Yep,
and
me too.
Richardson's too. So yeah, but for me, with the way the team played out, Anthony Richardson for me is the upside play that this team can kind of go with. So Doug, your team, bad at quarterback, good everywhere else. Go.
I mean, if I'm bad at quarterback, this is the easiest one. Like, you're just giving me you're just chucking softballs at me.
Mine's gonna be like brick walls and
I can't have everybody
fire and
Tyler,
lightning.
I think if my roster's good, but I'm not great at quarterback,
there's a big
I'm gonna
hole
go with
at running back.
Anthony Richardson's gone.
So there's
let me take Bryce Young.
So there's two quarterbacks left. Let me give you a scenario. Your quarterbacks are Jalen Hurts, but your second quarterback is Baker Mayfield.
I'm still taking Bryce Young.
Okay, because CJ Stroud, a lot of people have maybe as the upside play. Bryce Young is definitely the same.
Why have one rushing quarterback when I can have two?
But people say Bryce Young doesn't run.
He'll be okay.
False statement.
Yeah, like I'm trying to just give scenarios here.
That's a slam dunk. In that scenario, it's Bryce Young, log out, easy pick. I'm on the clock for 30 seconds.
Okay.
Do any of you have Stroud over Young?
I don't.
No.
I did at the beginning because I thought he was going to be the safest pick. And he probably still is, in my opinion. I think Bryce Young, they're going to have to add a couple of more pieces around him. They're even saying that, let's see how fast he picks up the book and everything like that. Yeah, I get it.
Everything you hear,
good.
He's going to.
Everything
you hear, he's going to pick up everything.
I don't see
He's
him
got
not
Tank
starting
good.
the season. I don't know if they're going to be
I
very competitive. I think Stroud may actually be in a better situation than Texans.
Well, and the one thing to think of too that people I heard on another podcast, someone said they're like, well, the Panthers could get Marvin Harrison Jr. next year. I'm like, they can't. They don't have their first next year. They don't have my team, and Houston doesn't have their own first, but they have Cleveland's first. So both of these teams might not have that big wide receiver help until 2025.
I actually like
Something to think
Carolina's
about.
options way more than Houston personally. Like Adam Thielen, I still think has a year or two left as a possession guy. I like Jonathan Mingo.
A year, possibly.
Jonathan Mingo. I think Terrace Marshall still can be an okay receiver. And DJ Chark's a good deep option as long as he can stay healthy.
Now you're going to mention Visca? Come on. Devi guy?
Who?
Come on.
We don't talk about Laviska
Yeah.
Shenault
Oh my
anymore.
God.
That's Doug's.
Ian
that's
Thomas,
Doug's kryptonite.
he's still there.
Yeah.
Tommy Tremble kid.
Tommy
Yeah.
Tremble. Yeah, and they have Hayden Hurst.
Chubba.
So.
All right, so
Yeah.
give me my scenario.
Okay,
here.
your scenario is you're very weak at running back
Everything,
and
though.
your wide receivers are okay. Your quarterbacks, you have, let's go with Daniel Jones, and your stud quarterback is Joe Burrow.
All right, this is a good scenario.
Give the
because this is
Giants
very
fan Daniel
similar.
Jones. I see how it
This
is.
is very similar to where I'm at in my draft. That's actually kicked off right now. I'm waiting for the 103 to pick, and I hope no one on the league is watching this YouTube. I do, but I don't at this very second. I'm going to do what I'm going to do in my draft, and that is take Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm going to step out of the quarterback needs to go here at the 104. You're saying that I have Daniel Jones. He just re-signed just a contract extension. He's going to be with the team for at least 2 to 3 more years, at least. Joe Burrow, who is going to deny that he's one of the at least top 5 quarterbacks in this league at the very moment? And I'm judging by this at the 104 is that you were almost good enough to make it to the playoffs, but you missed out because you don't have the running back depth that you need. And with Jahmyr Gibbs, he's starting to be rumored as a 3-down back. He has the draft capital. He has the size to do it. And he's an Alabama running back who I always trust.
And they almost broke a table when they took him. So
yeah, and they almost broke a table. So I think here, even with everything going on as far as their offensive weapons, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is still a slam dunk, and I'm not afraid to take him at 104. If I don't need a quarterback and I need a running back, I'm definitely going for the second best running back on the board and walking away with at least that in my draft.
Okay.
And I'll just add in here too. I mean, as a Bears fan, David Montgomery is someone that I have loathed that my team has drafted more than anyone. If you followed me on Twitter, I wanted a different running back, and they had him. He's so inefficient. He averaged negative 0.2 yards per carry below expectation last year, and he's done that mainly his whole career. People got excited over that one end of the year run against Houston and Detroit and some bad defenses, but
he had no competition.
I describe him as like he's playing Frogger, and like he gets by one guy and then gets by another guy, but then the first guy got up and tackled him. Like he needs to go, and Gibbs is just going to outplay him and get more.
He doesn't have that Khalil Herbert energy.
Dude, Herbert's way better than him.
The confusing part is
I love Khalil
if you
Herbert.
go back to when he was at Iowa State, I mean, he had the feet of Barry Sanders, the facial expressions of Two-Face, like, he had everything.
Oh man, I'm just excited we have Roshan. That's all I'm going to say.
So yeah, I that was a good pick. I actually have a really good scenario for you, Nick.
105. 105 still on the board.
105. Your quarterbacks are Herbert, and your other quarterback's Kyler. Your running backs are very good. Your receivers, you have 3 studs, and everything else, your depth is not great. Your tight ends are good. So the only thing you really need is a receiver. You're at 105. Stroud's on the board. What are you going to do?
I'm going to go with CJ Stroud because I stick with what I know. And I know that quarterbacks in Superflex, the best time to acquire them are in the draft. And I could trade off whomever I want whenever. And also you think of the big thing within fantasy too is the points that you get every week. It's not season long. It's points per game or points per week. And so when those guys are on bye or Kyler is hurt, that I'm going to have a better every week points per game by no drop off, injury, matchups, whatever, by having 3 really good quarterbacks, or I'm going to shop them and get way more in return than by passing up a quarterback. No offense, James.
No,
right.
None taken.
Somebody give me a scenario for this pick.
There's a very wet beehole in the backyard.
Is there a bear across the stream?
I'm going to hit it.
So give me a scenario. Just random.
I mean, you don't even need to give me a scenario.
It doesn't matter. It's
Jackson
JSN.
Smith and Jigba. Like, I don't care
answer.
what scenario it is. You take best player available, and this is the point in the draft. If you're not in the top 6, 107, I get it. After 107, though, it's the wild, wild west. It's a crapshoot for me, and that's where I start to not like the players nearly as much. So to be at 106, similar situation, right? In a league, we drafted Bijan at 102. We traded him away for Javonte Williams, for Christian Kirk in the 106. We had the 106. We took the best player. It was Jackson Smith and Jigba.
100%.
So,
that's what I was trying to give you guys a trap, because that's the answer. It's JSN, and we're going best player available, and that's why I'm going to stop with the scenarios, because I want to do it the early draft part, because I've been in multiple drafts, and it's like, okay, where do these quarterbacks land with teams? Even if you have good quarterbacks, are you going to take them? Does Jahmyr Gibbs jump up because he's really talked about and stuff? That's where I kind of wanted to go with this, because right now we're in more of the best player available. Yeah, go ahead.
Are any of you concerned about JSN and his landing spot?
No.
Not really. No.
To me, this is, and I'm going to throw out some negatives just because we need both sides of this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest issue with this time of year is we always look at optimism, potential, like only the good things about guys. For example, JSN had a season-long hamstring injury, which those are things that do reoccur. We generally concerned about that. We're like, broken legs, those won't happen again. Hamstrings can happen over years, over time, whatever. Also, he had a 1.65 10-yard split. That's the worst by a first-round wide receiver in recent memory. It's equal to Brian Brzee. Michael Mayer had a better time than that. Enter lots of other people too. So he's also, he's not a great athlete. But then look at, what did Seattle do? They got 2 really good running backs. That doesn't tell you they're going to just air it out like the air raid in Cliff Kingsbury's there.
Carroll talks about how much he likes the tight end group, says it's one of the best in the league with Disley and Fant.
And DK's there. He's not going anywhere. So I'm just going to paint a picture where I think that people need to think of the other side, where maybe JSN doesn't catch 100 balls and, money's falling from the ceiling. Like, there could be a time when he's like, maybe he is a high-end wide receiver 3.
I think he'll disappoint in his rookie year. People are going to expect him to pop off in the rookie year, because we've seen it in recent years that, the wide receivers in their rookie year having really good years. I mean, Addison, I think, is going to outproduce him in year 1. I just think it's going to be one of those things where JSN is the better prospect out of the 2. And I like the talent more than Addison. And I know the fit may not be ideal. I really want to talk about Zach Charbonnet later.
Well, and his quarterback, right? I mean, Geno Smith was a great story last year. I am not crapping on that at all. Do we think that that's going to happen every year? Just like, no offense, James, Daniel Jones. I need to see it for multiple years. We have seen Kirk Cousins be consistently high-end, above average, that range of quarterback.
Top half, yeah.
Forever. Yeah. We know that's going to be there. So to me, like, the best time to acquire JSN might be towards the end of his rookie year, where people are like, that's when you get him to get a value.
I think it's an iffy situation in general with the wide receivers in this class from the jump. I mean, we really only pegged Addison, Addison, JSN, and the list really stopped.
I think Quentin Johnson has a chance when Williams
and yes,
or
they all have
Allen get hurt.
They all have a chance, Tyler. I'm not like saying that
Things
they're
happen,
terrible,
sure. Yeah.
but I think compared to recent years, we know this wide receiver class did not stand up to what they were last year or the year prior. And yes, to your point, Nick, I love the fact that you brought this up, because people are out there expecting a Chris Olave production, a Garrett Wilson production, because they came from the same school. And JSN lit it up, and both of them are saying, "Oh yeah, he's better than we are." And the hype train continues to roll. But he did wind up in an offense where he will be wide receiver 3 on that team, and he will have to wait for Tyler Lockett to vacate that team before we really see a true jump in production. So it's almost like a similar scenario that CeeDee Lamb had. Great prospect, he's in the slot, and then boom, Amari Cooper's there, and Gallup was okay on the outside opposite Amari Cooper before CeeDee Lamb got there, kind of. Anyway, like, we had to wait for Amari Cooper to leave that offense before we saw true CeeDee Lamb's potential, which we still haven't really seen it all. And he's dealing with Dak Prescott, similar situation with Geno Smith. So yeah, great illustration of what actually could happen with JSN, although he is still the best receiver in this class. And if I was anybody in this position like Tyler, I'd be taking him off the board.
Yeah. And I agree with the receivers. I mean, even probably the tight end in this class. I feel like our hopes and dreams are really high right now with this rookie class. And
it's like this every year.
Even with Gibbs, I think. But I do think that there's so much negative going around with Bryce Young. I don't know if you guys have seen this. People hate Bryce Young. People just love to hate Bryce Young. And I think personally he's going to have an outstanding rookie season.
Oh, I think part of it, and this is going to be very filmist of me, but I think a lot of the people that aren't good with knowing football or watching film can't appreciate Bryce Young, because what he's best at is mental processing, which is the most important trait for a quarterback.
When the defense starts to break down, he knows the holes.
Well,
I've seen it on tape. Yep.
Subtle movements, and then he'll fit into a window or arm angles. Like, it's not size, laser rocket arm. We're not playing Madden here. We're playing football where it's up here to know where to go and to fit into spots. Like, that's why people it's like, it's annoying. Why is Kirk Cousins here? Like, he's just a nobody, or Tom Brady.
That's
like,
what made, I hate to comp them because they're both short. That's what made Drew Brees so good.
100%.
And also, I was freaking out watching Bryce Young tape because I was noticing his feet and his posture and how he makes himself taller and how he
and Brees did that for years.
Yes.
When he was back in the pocket, the way that his launch angle was different. He would kind of look up like this. Like, Bryce Young does a lot of this
on his toes
stuff.
a little bit.
Yep.
On his toes a little bit.
Can we call him Twinkle Toes?
Sure.
Everything I saw about Bryce Young was like, Kyler, he bends lower when he's throwing or when he's playing quarterback. It's almost like he's trying to get low.
Is it about time that we stop comparing him to Kyler Murray?
Yes. He should have never been compared.
Yes. He was just there because of the size. That's
a lazy
mainly
comp.
what it was. Yep.
Yes.
I think Bryce Young is more Drew Brees than he is Russell Wilson. Wilson doesn't throw as well over the middle either. Him and Kyler are more similar than Bryce Young is.
And nobody wants to comp anybody to Drew Brees because he's one of the greatest. But when we have something close, then you can kind of be like, okay, that's probably the closest comparison you have.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Doug, 107.
We're just going to start drafting because scenarios are kind of
I did 106. I had JSN.
No, I was 106. Thank you.
Oh, you were 106?
I was 106.
Okay.
You were 107.
We didn't give a scenario.
Is this a 2-copy league? Is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to get Nathan again?
We're bringing Pigs back. Let's go.
Pigs
Capitals Pigs is coming back.
Oh.
I wish.
Yeah.
This is an easy one for me. 107, it's Jordan Addison all day.
Okay. Like
easy
that.
Peasy. Slam dunk.
I mean, yeah, we're getting into the reason why I'm not doing scenarios to explain to everybody on the listening is
because there's no players that are roster changing at this point.
Exactly.
After Addison, I mean, Addison has potential, but after that,
and right now it's pretty much go get your guy. Like, that's how I like to explain it. Like, after the next couple picks, it's like just go get your guy. That's all you need to do.
Which the one thing I want to comment on Addison though is I was a little bit lower on him because of size and film. I thought he's a better player at Pitt than he was at USC. But I think Jordan Addison makes TJ Hawkinson way less valuable in Minnesota, and people need to watch it. I've been in startups, and people are like, "Oh, Hawkinson's going to be the same guy he was down the stretch." Jordan
There's
Addison
some recency bias with Hawkinson.
He's way better than Adam Thielen, so you better watch out. That's going to be Hawkinson's going to be third, not in the pecking order, not second.
Yeah, I love Addison in Minnesota. He's gonna be a definite game changer for them.
We see this every year with a player that ended on a hot streak. Like you said, David Montgomery a few years ago. We saw it with Rashad Penny, who won people leagues. There's like, Hawkinson finished as the tight end too, and he came on strong, assuming that it's just going to carry over. Like you said, I think will Hawkinson finish as a top 5 tight end? Probably, because tight end sucks. Like, it's not that hard to do that. But I don't think he's going to have the same numbers that he did last year.
All right, James, you are up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at 2 different wide receivers here. One is Quentin Johnston, who I have not taken yet this year. I did not like his prospect film.
Same.
I'm going to go with Zay Flowers, the speedster in Baltimore.
You just sniped Nick.
And guess what? Like, I like the theory that we created last week on the pod when I turned around and I said Lamar Jackson missed Hollywood Hoboken Brown when he departed to Arizona. And I think Zay Flowers fits the mold there perfectly. He's going to be on the field starting game 1. And I don't think he has much competition in the sense of an older OBJ and a Rashad Bateman that really isn't proven yet. So Zay Flowers.
The issue is everybody knows what Baltimore's offense has been, and they're not realizing that Todd Monken.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be different.
Not at all.
He did so good with
different.
what he had at Georgia.
Go buy Isaiah Likely, like cheap.
Like,
yeah.
like Bennett. Do you think Todd Monken made Bennett who he is at quarterback? In Georgia, that is now a Ram. Yeah,
100%.
And I mean, they had some movement for him, moving around the pocket, getting him some running lanes. It's gonna be the same thing.
I mean, it was the offensive line that opened up everything in Georgia.
And now he's actually got weapons because Georgia, they had some okay weapons like Pickens, but I don't think they had anything like they have in Baltimore with Zay Flowers and Bateman if healthy, and OBJ with one knee.
Well, and Andrews. I mean, like,
let's not forget Andrews.
And he's still there too.
He had Brock Bowers, which is pretty close to Andrews.
Yeah. What is Isaiah likely going to be Darnell Washington? I'm kidding. The size is very different, but people. I heard this on a podcast as well. People are like, well, Baltimore's offense. You're not watching what's going on. This is what separates people in fantasy leagues. Like Lamar Jackson's rushing attempts and yards are going to go down 100%. And if you're not
they should
factoring, as they should. Now, there's going to be zero excuses for Lamar Jackson after this season, just like there's going to be no excuses for Justin Fields. They're setting them both up with weapons. And now it's like, okay, let's see how great of a passer you guys both can be. Because no offense, if people haven't noticed, Lamar Jackson has started off the seasons well as a passer the last 2 years, and then just fell flat on his face. He can't handle the blitz well. He's not good at processing. And that could be some of his offensive coordinator, Greg Roman. But now he's going to be set up to do well with Monken, who's aired it out. Tampa, he was there with Jameson in that 1 year. Like he likes to throw. So,
and the thing with like a guy like Zay is he can separate. So the processing is easier because he's not going to be seeing a number one corner. He's going to be in the slot. He can separate his ass off. Like that's going to make it so much easier for Lamar Jackson between having Andrews and Zay in the middle of the field. Like that's going to be really nice.
I want to give an example. So Greg Roman had Mike Vick, he played, and LG Crumpler was a huge part of that offense. What happened when Michael Vick met Andy Reid? Just fireworks. Like he was the number one quarterback, wasn't he?
I believe they fell in love.
He went off like that. When he went to Philly, he went off. Like he was, and Matthew Berry put him at quarterback one. When he's in an offense that can actually use his skills to the best of their ability, like Lamar's got a good arm. I think Lamar actually has a really good deep ball. He misses something. A strong arm. So like Mike Vick, all these years, it was like, hey, Mike, just run or throw to LG Crumpler. It's like this guy could throw 60, 70 yards on the dime. Then he gets to Sean Jackson, and all of a sudden, just fireworks. Everything lights up. It's like smart coordinators will use their players smart. So I love Zay Flowers in the situation, and
I'm shocked. Everybody loved my pick. With no situation
Zay Flowers is my wide receiver too. So I love Zay Flowers.
Okay, it'll be interesting to see what you do here.
Now that your number 2's off the board.
I know.
Sniper.
I'm not big on Quentin Johnston. To me, it's between him and Dalton Kincaid, who I love, but I don't trust tight ends. I don't trust. I mean, I don't worry. I'm a huge fan of him. I loved his film. I think he's the closest. I like his film better than Kyle Pitts. No offense.
Say he's the closest to Travis Kelce. That's what you're going to say, weren't you? Yeah, and that's all I saw.
Yeah. Now he's a little bit older, and I just don't trust young tight ends. I just don't. And so if I can have a first-round pick wide receiver going to an elite quarterback, I'm just going to do that and keep investing in those types of situations. And trust they're going to show him how to catch the ball.
Yes, and I do think that these two receivers around him will kind of teach him the ropes because you got two elite receivers. Yeah, they have, he's going Quentin Johnson, Doug. You look confused.
No, I'm trying to do something on the computer. It's not because
of his pick. Yeah, so Quentin Johnson, he has Keenan Allen and Mike Williams to learn from. And if you mold those two, it is literally a raw Quentin Johnson, I think. Like, if you put them at the beginning of their careers, that's what it is. So I think he will have room to learn. They will get him opportunities early, which will help him. So I do like the future and opportunities for Quentin Johnson.
And they have a better coordinator now, too. Let's not forget that the Chargers have upgraded to Kellen Moore, and they're not going to be held back by not a great OC despite the talent.
Yeah, I agree. Now, for me, I am going to go Kincaid. I am here at, 109?
Yep.
Is the pick?
110.
110? Okay.
Yeah.
Kincaid, for me, is the easy pick here. I know the whole don't trust a young tight end. That goes for a lot of things. You should never in the bar in a rookie
Also, never
draft.
trust a big butt and a smile. I've been told.
So yeah,
Holes.
Kincaid for me is a slam dunk here because you know what? If I'm at 110 and it is my pick, I'm just kind of adding to the depth my team probably already has, and especially at a position where if you have the ability to get the upper hand, like a Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews, I'm going to take that chance because he's got Josh Allen at quarterback. They have an opening in the slot unless Shakir takes that, but all rumors say that Kincaid will play the big slot guy, and they will still use Dawson Knox as the Y tight end. So I like this pick, and it was pretty easy for me. Doug, 111.
This is a pretty easy one for me. It is super flex. I'm looking at the players that are available here, and they're not really moving the needle for me, to be quite honest. I mean, you're looking at like a super small, speedy running back that some people got in the first round now. I'm not all about that life. I understand it was a great fit. So in super flex, there's nothing more valuable than a quarterback. So I know he didn't go in the first round. He went at the very top of the second. But I'm gonna take Will Levis here. I think it's a really easy pick to make because I don't think that taking like a Devin A chain here is gonna move the needle when it comes to like what's this player worth a year or 2 years from now. Where if Levis takes over Tannehill midseason and he does ball out, like I don't know if that's gonna happen or not. But for me, it's worth the risk. I probably won the league, right? I'm towards the end of the first round. Why not add another quarterback? Like Nick said, having a third quarterback, potentially the depth to have that, or they become a trade chip if they do hit. There's nothing more valuable in this format than a quarterback. So I'm going to take Will Levis.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
All right, James.
I'm
you're
at the 112.
Congrats on winning the league.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm really mad about the whole move with Zach Charbonnet. Devin A. Chain may have to wait a year or two to even see promising production. Who knows how they're going to crowd that backfield even more so next season after Raheem Mostert
Delvin Cook comes in,
dusts away. Yeah, hey, you never know. And like to take a questionable running back here at the end of the first round, I don't know if I'm going to do that. Actually, I'd rather go
Trade
with
out.
I would definitely trade out. I mean, I have always traded out of the back of the first round if possible, but guess what? If you can't trade out, you might as well get a meaningful player, and that's Michael Mayer. I'll take Michael Mayer at the back end of the first round and not be too mad about it in a tight end premium league where he walks into the Las Vegas Raiders offense pretty much as the starter. And you know what? I think it's going to be an okay offense. They know how to use a tight end with Coach Mike McDaniels, and I'm not afraid of it. So
Garoppolo knows how to use a tight end.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I think Michael Mayer,
Not that way, Tyler. Get your
he's a
mind out of
plug
the
and
gutter.
play. He's a plug and play tight end too right now that you're
He's
getting
in
at
Vegas.
the end of the first round. But I think he does have the promise and the pedigree to climb up the tight end ladder. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Michael Mayer there.
I do like that pick because
Safe
you
pick.
know I do like him a lot. So, Nick, you are up at the 201. We're gonna go more rapido fire. Let's
Rapido.
go.
Yeah. And sorry for my camera. I told you guys that might happen. So
It's an overheating issue. I saw
Your
it on the
internal
screen.
temperature was too high, Nick. It said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
man, it's
Too hot, baby.
It's an exciting draft.
wish I had a
That
I wish
Johnston
I-
pick was just too hot.
I wish
Shut
I had a
off the light.
camera that would tell me that sometimes. Oh, my camera says it's ugly.
So I know I just said this, but again, it's kind of ugly where it's at with running backs and receivers right now. I'm gonna go Sam Laporta.
You son of a turd!
I
That's
have
my
Sam
guy.
Laporta ahead of Michael Mayer. I like him a ton. He's athletic. He adjusts the passes really well. I think in that situation, and Detroit does not have a great wide receiver 3. That could be Gibbs potentially in the slot. And Jameson's gone for 6 weeks. Laporta is one of my favorite guys. So I would take him. I think he's going to be outstanding there as I overheat again.
Yeah, I traded up to 207 in an industry league to get Sam Laporta because I was like, I want him, I need him. I'm gonna make a move to get my guy at 207. It's tight end premium, and I was absolutely thrilled.
All right. I am up at the 202, and this is where it gets a little interesting. I'm actually going to go A-Chain here. Give me the offense and the speed, and we'll see what happens. I mean, right now we're in just take a player that maybe you need to diversify your portfolio a little bit and kind of mix it up with your players. And for me, Devin A-Chain, I have maybe 1 or 2 shares of him. But awesome best ball player. If this was best ball, this would be a pretty easy pick for me because, hey, you don't need to worry about starting him. But here, I will take him and just hope that the fit and the speed match. You can bash this pick, Nick, if you want.
I just don't trust him. I mean,
me either. But
and it's not even a size thing, but it's also like, I mean, we know what happened with 49ers with running backs. I mean, I haven't trusted McDaniel with a running back yet either. So to me, I'm just, but no one else I love either. So
yeah.
I think for me, I have the next pick. I'm going to take the guy that, without landing spot, would have gone in the first round pretty easily. It's Zach Charbonnet. I've been doing some more thinking on this. I've listened to some podcasts, and they've made some good points about Ken Walker being super inefficient, not being active in the passing game. He's a home run hitter, which is awesome, but he's not great in short yardage. Pete Carroll's been talking up. They're going to battle it out. Ken Walker does have a history of nagging injuries as well. I think Charbonnet has become one of the best values in our dynasty rookie drafts because we all loved him before. And he was the 107, 108, pretty consensus. And then he lands in a spot where there's Ken Walker. And then I've seen him slip into the mid-second, sometimes a tick later. And for me, it's like the guy's talented. We all loved him. I know the landing spot stinks, but like, look at Ken Walker. It's fun when he makes electric plays and he has 25 carries a game, but he's not super efficient. And I think they want to get more efficient in that running game and, and make it each guy gets 15 carries a game. I'm perfectly okay taking Zach Charbonnet with 15 carries a game, especially if he gets goal line work in an offense that should be very, very good. So for me, this is an easy pick with Charbonnet.
I just thought of something. Thomas Rawls is Kenneth Walker. Chris Carson is Zach Charbonnet.
Fair.
Size and like play style.
Running style. Rawls was like a rolling ball of butcher knives when he ran. Like
pretty much.
Yeah. Walker's very similar.
Gave me nightmares a little bit.
Of butcher knives, or
I should look to see where I have Kenneth Walker right now.
So yeah, Charbonnet easy.
Interesting.
All right, James, that is you. 204.
Yeah. Oh boy, I'm looking at Kendre Miller and I'm like, like I really didn't like his film. He's got a good situation where Alvin Kamara could not be there
pick?
No, it's not. I'm gonna go Jonathan Mingo over him. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. I think it's more of a promising role for Jonathan Mingo tied to Bryce Young for the next couple years. And I think it's a safer pick here in the beginning of the second round than trusting my hopes on a running back 2 or 3 in a system where, it's very, very dicey. And I know they want to throw the ball down in the swamp. So
I like the strategy in here of James talking down another pick, hoping he'll slide to him and then take somebody else. It's a leak
chat talk. Yeah.
Also, Miller. I mean, Sean Payton's not there anymore. They just signed Jamal Williams.
The list of negatives for
Jamal Williams
for Miller just keeps growing.
He's there, so I'm not going to go with him either. I'm going to go with my RB4 entering the NFL draft, so it's not biased. I'm going with Roschon Johnson. He is a guy that I thought would have been a 3rd round pick. So I don't really consider him a 4th. I know that sounds weird, but I think he can do it all. If he was not at Texas behind Bijan Robinson, he'd be starting at 95% of the colleges, if not more. He broke more tackles per touch than anyone else. He can do everything. He doesn't run a 40-yard dash in 4.3, but that doesn't matter, honestly, in football. If that's what you're looking at, you're doing it wrong. It matters if you can break tackles, make cuts, have vision, catch the ball, run hard, get 10, 15-yard chunk plays. I think Roschon Johnson, by the way, people love Khalil Herbert, which we just talked about. Khalil Herbert is a guy that they inherited with this new regime.
Yeah.
They didn't draft him. They didn't sign him. They signed Foreman. And last year when Montgomery was inefficient, which we talked about earlier, whether it was on the pod or not, can't remember. Herbert was way better. And they still gave Montgomery carries. So if you thought like, hey, we really love Khalil Herbert, they would have given him that chance last year or not signed Foreman or not drafted Johnson. So this is going to be Johnson's backfield sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I want to go back to your talk about the Saints. It's kind of a whole entire another situation, kind of like what we talked about Baltimore, but reverse. Like people are like, oh, he's the Alvin Kamara. Like, no. I think Dennis Allen is one of the worst coaches in the NFL. I don't think he's a good head coach. It's not biased because I'm a Falcons fan, but I think he is legit one of the worst coaches. So I agree. Like
You're
entire
taking Kendra Miller.
No, I am not.
Okay.
I'm not taking Kendre. I am actually going to take Josh Downs, who
pick.
is getting a lot of love. And, I mean, we should have seen this coming, right? Us Debbie guys, because Josh Downs was very talked about a couple years ago as maybe even a first-round pick, one of the best receivers in this class, and he fell because of the weight and height issues. But you know what? That doesn't matter anymore. In today's NFL, that does not matter. So I'm going to go Josh Downs here at, what pick is this, 206?
Mm-hmm.
Doug's mic isn't working. I noticed it when he...
Yeah.
I'm back.
When he started talking into the mic
I was
and
eating,
no sound was
I was
coming out.
snacking in between picks. I apologize. At the 207, this is an easy pick for me. A guy I loved going into the draft process. He's got a great pedigree at Oklahoma. It's Marvin Mims.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk Triple H.
No.
So he had a great pedigree.
Yes. So the Denver Broncos don't have a lot of draft capital, and they trade up into the second round to take Marvin Mims. We don't know how long Cortland Sutton's going to be on that team. Sean Payton comes in. He gets his guy, much like Nick said, like, yeah, Herbert was a carryover. Well, guess what? Patrick, Judy, Sutton, all carryovers. Now the coach is in charge, and he drafts Marvin Mims at the end of the second round when they don't have a ton of draft picks and trades up to get him. Marvin Mims is going to be a thing for sure in Denver, and to get him at 207, I am happier than a pig in poo.
I might have to leave the pod. I didn't know this was an anti-Sutton podcast. Okay,
I like Sutton. I just
I don't think Doug knows my history.
I
with
totally.
Sutton.
You can't talk bad about Corey Davis or Sutton. Those are the two rules.
I mean, my goodness.
I have Sutton on a couple dynasty squads. I feel you, but after last year, like I know he's coming off the injury.
Doug would try to trade him, but he had trouble actually moving off of his team because Sutton has trouble moving on the field as well.
I know it hasn't been great for him, but
It's the knee. It's the knee, which sucks.
Cortland Sutton follows me on Twitter. That's how much I pumped him up before he was anybody.
I recall.
So, I remember.
Marvin Mims.
Patrick Farm remembers.
So we're at the 208. We're at the 208 in this draft, and it feels like every rookie draft I've done thus far, you get to this point and you're like, shit, I should have traded out. I should have traded out.
Or get your guy.
Yeah, or get your guy. And
Kendre
you know what?
Miller's there.
Yeah, Kendre Miller is still going to be there for Nick next pick. We're gonna keep the tight ends rolling. Give me Luke Musgrave for the Green Bay Packers.
Wow.
I love Musgrave. I want to hear what Nick has to say about Musgrave.
I think it's the talent that he proved during the combine. I think it's the situation, not having to deal with a lot, coming in with a pretty much a rookie quarterback that's going to rely on some kind of a safety blanket coming from the tight end position.
Nick's a Tucker Kraft guy, isn't he?
Yeah, I have Tucker Kraft over him. I mean, Luke Musgrave's great to catch the ball and fall down. I mean, he
also maybe have a lot of production in college. Like
he's been very hurt.
He's like a Mike Gesicki light. I mean, that's what I see him as. I mean, I don't think it's terrible. They need somebody, but I just don't see. And again, Green Bay is going to be this. They have those incentives in there for Jordan Love, which we talked about. But like, they're going to be this ball control, play action, short passing, like very boring offense. Like, I don't know if you want any part of it besides maybe Aaron Jones. So, yeah, I have Tucker Kraft over him. I am not going to go Kendre Miller. I'm going to go and take a little gamble.
You're going to snipe me, aren't you?
Because we talked about what you do is you want to align your receivers with elite quarterbacks. I'm going to go Rashee Rice, wide receiver, SMU, because, Cortland Sutton went there too.
It all ties together.
I think Rice is the most up and down kind of polarizing wide receiver prospect. Like people like either loved him or hated him. There are things that I liked, but then he was like, and I hated it, but then I was like, well, he's injured. He had a lot of things going on. But when they take him in the second and they don't have a wide receiver one there, and I love Travis Kelce, and who knows how long he'll be there for, you're tied to Mahomes for 4 years, and you got Tony. Sorry, I don't trust him. I don't know if you guys do or not. I love Sky Moore.
Up today on Twitter.
Yeah, they can keep pumping there. I like Sky Moore too, but I'll go Rashee Rice.
I like so Loki. In our UDPL draft, I drafted him. Then I went to his combine metrics and stuff to double check. I did not trade him. I still have him.
That's right. You had to offer for him though.
Yes, and I held. But I did not know he jumped 41 inches at the combine. And I am a huge fan of players that can go up and get the ball because that is a dying breed. Donovan Peoples-Jones, another one that jumped out of the roof, and he's turned out pretty good. And that shows explosion, and that's what I want to see from my receivers is that explosiveness because it translates. And he didn't run the 40 fast, but who knows? Maybe he's Dwayne Bowe 2.0 in Kansas City.
Over Dwayne Bowe.
So I have the next pick, and I'm going to go with one of my favorite running backs, and that is Tank Bigsby from Jacksonville. And this is more of a lightning and thunder combination.
Scenario you had ETN on your roster ahead of time, just wanted to no. Sorry.
God, what a smart ass. We should
better than a dumbass, my friend.
I had ETN on a roster and passed on Tank.
They did, but you went a different player due to scenario. But for me, Tank is the player here I'm going to go with. He was my RB4 pre-draft, and I don't think really much changed post-draft because of the landing spot. Doug Peterson is known to split the running back carries, and I do think they want to keep Etienne healthy. So Tank will get a little bit of that workload, and I think he will do well with it.
All right. I'm not going to take Kendre Miller here because I want to keep that going. What Nick said earlier with Rashee Rice, like a team invests draft capital, you know what the NFL thinks of him. When I look at it and say, all right, what's the draft capital look like? And does the player have a role in year one potentially? The answer is yes. And he got really good reviews out of the Senior Bowl. It's Jaden Reed going to Green Bay. You know, you look at Christian Watson. He's not going to be a target monster, I don't think. Romeo Doubs was very up and down. Jaden Reed should be that starting slot wide receiver. You bring in the two tight ends. We all know that tight end takes some time to learn the position. And with Musgrave there, just his history of injuries and not getting a ton of on-field playing time and experience.
Kiss Nick's ass.
To me, Jaden Reed is going to be the safety blanket for Jordan Love. It's not going to be the tight ends in year one. It's going to be Jaden Reed. He's a top 50 pick in the NFL draft, which surprised a lot of people. And for me, I'm going to chase the draft capital on a player that I really like here at the end of the second round and be perfectly happy with it.
This has to be Kendre, right?
Nope.
No, we kept it going.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it going, and I'm not gonna take Kendre Miller just for the giggles on the show. But no, I really think this player might actually have more upside than Kendre Miller moving forward on an offense where it's built around the run first. They just picked up a quarterback that has a big gun of an arm in Will Levis.
Mr. One Knee, you're gonna take,
and I'm gonna take Tajay Spears right here and in the back of the second round and just sit on him for until Derrick Henry
don't sit too
until
hard.
Derrick Henry retires. And I don't think it's going to happen right away, but we did see, we saw Henry get hurt a little bit towards the end of last season, and there was big question marks on who was going to take the spot for him. And I think they as an organization turn around and say, oh man, we really don't have a number two behind Derrick Henry. And no, they didn't do it like a size comp or anything like that. He did weigh in a little bit light at the combine, his pro day, ran slow, only a 4.5. But I think he brings a dynamic to this team where they were going to need a downhill runner somewhat. And I think Tajay Spears fits that mold just right. Maybe a first and second down, but hey, you know what? It's the back end of the second round.
Tajay's not a downhill runner per se. He is definitely an east and west.
East and west, as long as he gets in the end zone, I don't care which way it goes.
Well, hopefully his knees are intact, because that is the definite worry about his.
Do you really think his knees aren't if they take him in the middle of the third round?
It's Vrabel. I don't know. I mean,
because that's really the big thing. Like we saw Sean Tucker fall completely out of the draft because of heart.
Heart is a bigger issue.
Well, we saw just in general, we see medical issues taking players.
Darnell Washington
slipped down the draft, for medicals, and we saw his production at the combine was amazing. That one-handed catch that he only got 1 foot in. Anyway, I think it's more of a scenario-based opportunity here in the back of the second round.
Yeah.
And I don't really, you're rolling the dice on all of these players. You might as well try to pick the scenario that may play out the best.
Yeah.
Or trade out.
like here, like Kendra Miller for me would be probably around this area, just because if he has one massive game, there's going to be at least 3 people begging you to trade him to him.
I just think Kendra Miller, you know, he may have a couple games here or there, and you may be able to trade him in season to the sucker in your league and then try to get out of it.
For me, it's the offense.
I don't think he's that bad.
The offense, he's not bad, but the offense, I don't think is good. I honestly don't think this offense is good.
Well, I think Tyler wants me to pass on Kendra Miller. He is my next running back that's available.
We could take him at the 301.
In the 301, this will be our last pick because I wasn't planning on going to the 3rd round. So 301, you take Kendra Miller.
And I am going to pass on Kendra Miller here. I'm not going to take him. I'm going to go, and this is something that's new. I don't think I've talked about it yet. You want to pick receivers that are tied with good/elite quarterbacks that are still somewhat young. So I'm going to go with Cedric Tillman, who I had rated very highly going into the draft. And now he's now again, this is something that, you know, in fantasy football, I care about points. And some people care about, you know, like the character of guys. Like they're going to go to Sunday lunch with them after church. I don't care. Deshaun Watson is a stud. Okay. And I know there are things that happen, and I'm not saying I'm for or whatever, any of that stuff. Yep. He's a good quarterback. So he's going to bounce back. And he's got Amari Cooper, who's getting on the end.
For this year. I think he's a $60 million cap hit or something ridiculous next year.
Does he? Okay, so he doesn't have a lot of time left.
That's pretty cheap for wide receivers, though.
I do think about it. I do like Donovan Peoples-Jones, too, but this might be his last year, if I remember right.
Yep.
He's a
David Bell still is running his 40-yard dash. Okay?
R.I.P.
They need some help there.
Elijah Moore, they went and traded for him.
And Cedric, well, they have Elijah Moore, but I think Cedric Tillman is really going to flourish with him. And and again, at this point in the draft, you want to bet on certain things. I want to bet on a quarterback that throws touchdowns, that throws for a lot of yards. And that's going to be, and also Nick Chubb is older. So I don't know that they're going to be feeding him a ton. They're going to start getting
last year in his contract, Nick Chubb.
Yep. They're going to pass more. So that's why I think Tillman is a good bet at this point in the
Yeah,
draft.
you got to worry about an old Chubb.
I was on the board.
Doesn't Chubb like it used to.
I was on the board at the end of the 3rd, early 4th, and we have Travis Etienne on a team. Tank Bigsby was available, and so was Cedric Tillman. And I was like, well, I could do the logical thing and take Bigsby because I have Etienne, or I can take Tillman, who's attached to a very above-average quarterback who has the profile of a potential alpha. So I went with Tillman.
And if you guys don't trust my film that I like Tillman, some guy named Matt Waldman, you might have heard of before, really likes Cedric Tillman as well.
Never heard of him. Oh yeah, wait, he's only like
Who's
the
that?
oldest dynasty player known. Like not, well, he is older.
Created dynasty.
Well, no,
his Waldman guide is nuts.
His RSP is very good.
If you want to spend months and months just soaking up great information, that's where you need to go. Because I mean, I'm not a good reader, and it took me quite a while to read one. I actually typed them and I said, "Hey, more pictures."
More pictures you would. All right. Well, that is going to wrap up our mock draft. Before we completely wrap up, I did want to give a shout out to Manscaped. I thought about dropping it earlier when we were talking about the beehole in Tyler's backyard. Because you know what? You can shave that. You can shave your front, your back, everything with the Manscaped lawnmower. It's 4.0. It's great. Wireless. You can charge it. It's got the ear and nose trimmer for the olds like me that need
wash
that
out that
thing.
beehole.
Yeah, wash out that It's completely waterproof. You can wash it out underneath the water. You can dip it in the beehole in Tyler's backyard. It'll be fine. You can.
I could use the help.
Yep. And not only that, when you use code DHH, you'll save 20%. But it also comes with all sorts of things to make you clean and fancy and smelling fresh. So make sure you check out Manscaped. Once again, that's code DHH on manscaped.com. Tyler, you have your hand up, sir.
Yeah. Another thing that's nice about it is if it's dark out, I can trim around the beehole with the LED light.
That's right. You can use a mirror and get into the angles.
That was very sharp, Tyler. Very sharp.
Thank you, Tyler. Well, that is going to wrap us up this week. But, Nick, give us a quick rundown, what you're up to, where we can find you, all those good things.
Yeah, I'm over at Football Guys, at _ Nick Whalen on Twitter. I'll always be arguing and debating on there. So if you want to do that, and if you're a Packers fan and you follow me, it's not going to be good for you. That's all I'm going to say.
Didn't like my Jaden Reed pick.
No, the nice thing about Nick
Did not
is,
like your Jaden Reed.
The nice thing about Nick is what I'm seeing about new Twitter, and I've had a beef about this.
Was that new Twitter or nude Twitter?
Well, Twitter nowadays is just all they just give the
Beehole?
They just give their opinion, and you must take it. It is the only opinion you can have. Like, that's what a lot of people are tweeting. And Nick actually gives stats and stuff, and he allows you to come talk to him about it. Like, that's the nice thing about Nick, is he leaves the option to approach him. While there's others, I'm not going to name any names, but there's certain two people that I cannot stand. I actually unfollowed them because it's, hey, this is what it is. If you're doing this, you're dumb. Like, I can't stand that.
Take lock, if you will.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And in Dynasty, you can't have that because you're going to lose all the value if you just like, nope, one more year. He'll be good. I swear to God. Nope. Yeah. So anyway, that is going to wrap us up. Thank you for joining us this week, Nick. I'm your host, Doug. For James and Tyler, we will see you next week on the Dynasty Happy Hour. Like and subscribe.
Keep that beehole clean.